Redditors and hiring positions. What small things immediately make you say no to the potential employee? Why? There was the guy who, when I walked into the conference room to interview him, told me to have a seat and said, "Let's talk." You're probably wondering why I brought you here. The ultimate power move. Assert dominance. Fart loudly while maintaining eye contact. When shaking hands, never let go. OMG. This is one of those bad advice things that goes around for people that lack self-confidence and are told how to appear to be more confident. They are told stupid crap like how they should take control of the meeting, show they belong, turn the questions around on the hiring manager, and make yourself seem like the natural leader crap. It never works because unnatural confidence is easy to sniff out in about 15 seconds. So faking it in an awkward way like pretend trying to sound dominant and in control in a meeting is just dumb and bad advice. I've seen this myself when interviewing candidates. Embellishing. Job applications, like dating profiles, a little embellishment is expected to make yourself look good, and most people can read between the lines, but I once had a dude when writing down his responsibilities at his previous job, put a bunch of things like used whisk, spatula, and other kitchen utensils to circulate sauces, and ingredients to bring all food to adequate cooking temperature when being prepared. It was all written like that. This guy supposedly had like 5+ years experience, and best he could give me was a fancy way of saying he stirred shit. Applier: I handled money for a multi-billion-dollar company. Interviewer: you worked at McDonald's. Applier: looks at feet: I worked at McDonald's. Don't mean to be that guy, but applicant: I worked as a proofreader on a site with millions of active users. The biggest one for me was always whether they were responding thoughtfully and specifically to prompts or just using vague interviewee language. Related: if they answer one question in a condescending tone, it's not a good sign. Everyone will hate them, and you for hiring them. If they show bad attitude in an interview, wait till they've been on the job for a few months. One of my biggest pet peeves in life is people that dance around questions instead of answering them. Not an interview example, but I see this in sales a lot. I'm a sales engineer, so I see a lot of traditional sales guys that do this. Why dance around a very specific question? You may make the customer think everything will work fine, but when they find out you danced around them, they will be more pissed. Either way, you lose the sale, but not answering their actual question causes them to never trust you in the future. If you put in on your resume, I'm going to ask you about it. So don't add filler. How do you feel about someone having virtually no side activities? I will ask about anything in this category. In fact, I like to start with this area because it can be a good way to break the ice and put someone at ease. I don't care if there's only one, as long as it's real. This isn't a college application. But if you like it and can show enthusiasm about whatever you've put down, great, even if it's just the one thing. I'm more turned off by someone that has a laundry list of interests and, apparently, never sleeps. I never do laundry. Nailed it. I have a small exteriors remodeling company and do all of my interviews on site. If someone gets out of their vehicle and flicks their cigarette in the yard, it's pretty much over. For some reason, people interviewing have regularly looked at the tools we're using and talked condescendingly about them and explained they learned on another brand style and their way is better. Done. I'm open to discussion about tools and methods, but the interview isn't the place and leads me to believe I'm going to have to work hard to make you use my methods on jobs. I once had a guy spend the entire interview explaining to me why we were literally doing everything wrong. He was just finishing up his bachelor's degree and had no practical experience. I'm hiring because my business is successful and growing, not because I need some college kid to come in and use his vast knowledge to turn things around. I assume he thought this would show how smart he was. I'm totally open to new ideas and new gear, but you need to show that you're someone whose opinion I should trust. For me, that trust is going to grow over months of you proving yourself, not an interview where you're implying I'm an idiot. I'm not a big computer or email person. Get the fuck out and don't come back. This is an office job in 2019. Both of my parents claimed they got laid off in their mid-50s because of age discrimination, when they were both proud, not computer people. I've never understood how someone can proudly proclaim their willful ignorance. My father used to boast about retiring before he'd ever use a computer. His company made his wish a reality at 57. I'm amazed at how many candidates lie. Don't do that. What's the worst one you have had? Guy said he'd never been in trouble with the law. Later I asked an unrelated question about licensing, and he mentioned that he had a hang-up. I asked if he wanted to explain why, and he said he had a dishonorable discharge from the military due to a violent felony conviction. If you have something on your resume, it's fair game for me to ask you about it. If you struggle with basic questions about it, game over. And for fuck's sake, if they ask you what's the last book you read, have a safe option at hand. Don't be honest and answer Animal Farm like I did, or the interviewer will turn red and start ranting about communism. Rant. Awkward silence. Actually, I meant the children's book. My son just turned 2. If you annoy the hell out of me in an hour interview, there is no chance I want to work with you for $40 a week. Don't be a one-upper, that shit is annoying as hell. Let the interviewer set the tone of the interview. If the interviewer is very stoic and professional, match that. If they are joking around, set your tone accordingly. It is crucial that you can adjust to the tone of any meeting in my role. If you can't, you are going to cause more trouble than you are worth. In a lot of positions, knowledge is secondary to willing to learn, ability to communicate, and reality that you aren't perfect and will need to grow in the position. If you aren't willing to do that, or cannot do the rest, fuck off. Let the interviewer set the tone of the interview. If the interviewer is very stoic and professional, match that. If they are joking around, set your tone accordingly. It is crucial that you can adjust to the tone of any meeting in my role. If you can't, you are going to cause more trouble than you are worth. In a lot of positions, knowledge is secondary to willing to learn, ability to communicate, and reality that you aren't perfect and will need to grow in the position. If you aren't willing to do that, or cannot do the rest, fuck off. I've hired a couple hundred folks over the years. Here are some do's and don'ts. An absolute deal breaker: do not be late to the interview. If you can't plan ahead for an interview, I can't trust you to plan ahead for much else. There is virtually no excuse that will work. Either it's such a catastrophic situation that means starting a new job isn't a good idea, or it's something that a plan C would have covered. And I've heard it all. Pro tip: stake out the interview place a couple days before at the same time of day. This will help you figure out traffic, streets, etc. And, seriously, write down on paper with whom you're interviewing and the exact job title for when you need to check in with security. If you lose your phone, you should still be able to find your way and meet with the right person. Other tips. Do, before the interview, ask a few, 3 max, common sense questions, such as workplace dress code, and is there anything tricky about parking or entering the building? This shows me that I am dealing with a person who is thinking situationally ahead of time. It doesn't bother me, it impresses me. Keep these questions short, simple, and sweet, but don't pepper me with a bunch of follow-up questions. At beginning of interview, smile, and offer a firm handshake. Ask practical clarifying questions, such as how to pronounce my name, and come prepared with a hard copy version of your resume just in case. During the interview, don't interrupt. Embrace awkward silences. Don't bullshit me. At the end of the interview, say thanks, and ask for a timeline to follow up. I do my best to put folks at ease during the interview, and I've hired people underqualified because there was clear potential. Resumes are important, but how you handle yourself and demonstrate your thinking is more important.